the golden hues of autumn bathed St. Andrew's Church in Willow Creek, casting long shadows that danced softly across the stone facade. Inside, the congregation gathered for the evening service, their voices harmonizing in a serene hymn that echoed through the vaulted ceilings. At the pulpit, his presence commanded, embodying the very essence. His eyes scanned the familiar faces, comforting sight that had earned him unwavering respect and admiration. Among the attendees was Sam Reynolds, a devoted woman whose dedication to the church activities was matched only by the turmoil she concealed beneath her composed exterior. Her heart ached from a recent divorce, and the weight of single motherhood pressed heavily upon her shoulders. Detective Jessica Harper, though not a regular member, observed the service with a keen eye, her mind ever alert to the undercurrents of Willow Creek's tightly knit society. Harper carried the scar that still haunted her. To seek justice. As the congregation dispersed, the crisp autumn air greeted Michael as he stepped outside, his coat billowing slightly in the gentle breeze. Willow Creek, a picturesque town nestled in the heart of Texas, was renowned for its strong community bonds and conservative values. Of 2023 had brought with it not only vibrant foliage, but also an undercurrent of tension that few could foresee. The town's serene appearance belied the complexities of its inhabitants' lives, each person navigating their own struggles beneath the surface of everyday interactions. Michael's journey to the priesthood had been one of profound purpose and sacrifice. At 45, his commitment to his faith was unwavering, yet the demands of his role often left him grappling with inner conflicts. The pressures of guiding his flock and maintaining the sanctity of his position weighed heavily on him, especially as he found solace in unexpected places. Sam Reynolds had become a beacon of both comfort and complicity in his otherwise disciplined existence. Her resilience in the face of personal adversity resonated deeply with Michael, forging a bond that transcended the traditional boundaries of priest and congregant. Sam, at 32, embodied strength and vulnerability in equal measure. Her participation in church activities was more than mere routine. It was a lifeline that tethered her to a semblance of normalcy amidst the chaos of her shattered marriage and the relentless responsibilities of raising her 10-year-old son, Ethan. Her interactions with Michael were initially professional, characterized by shared prayers and mutual support. However, as the days turned into weeks, their conversations delved deeper, revealing the cracks in their facades and the unspoken desires that lingered in the space. Detective Jessica Harper, meanwhile, navigated the complexities of Willow Creek with a blend of skepticism and empathy. At 38, her career in law enforcement had been shaped by a relentless pursuit of truth, tempered by the emotional toll of unresolved cases. The memory of a particularly harrowing investigation lingered in her mind, driving her to seek resolution and prevent further tragedies. Her arrival initially met with curiosity, reputation for tenacity, her the respect of both the community. The Creek were intricate tapestries, shared histories, and Michael's connection with Sam was a delicate balance of mentorship and emotional reliance, each encounter deepening their reliance on one another. Sam's friendship with Jake Thompson, a dedicated teacher at the local high school, provided her with an essential support system, though Jake remained oblivious to the true nature of her bond with Michael. Detective Harper's interactions with the townspeople were marked by a professional distance, yet she couldn't help but feel the undercurrents of hidden stories that whispered beneath the town's tranquil veneer. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting an amber glow over Willow Creek, Michael found himself alone in the church's quiet nave. The scent of aged wood and candle wax filled the air, creating a sanctuary of solitude. He reflected on the duality of his existence: public, servant and private, struggle of feeling the weight of his hidden desires pressing against his conscience. Sam entered quietly, her footsteps barely audible on the stone floor. She approached him with a tentative smile, her eyes reflecting a mixture of gratitude and unspoken pain. "Father Michael," she began softly, "thank you for always being here for me." He nodded, the sincerity in her voice stirring emotions he had long kept at bay. "You're always welcome, Sam. How are you holding up?" She sighed, leaning against the pew beside him. "It's been tough, but the church helps. Sometimes to talk to." Innocent on the surface, hinted at a deeper connection that neither fully understood. As they spoke, the boundaries between priests and congregant blurred, paving the way for a relationship fraught with potential peril. Meanwhile, Detective Harper reviewed her notes in the dimly lit office, unaware that the threads of her current investigation were beginning to intertwine with the lives of those she had come to observe. The calm exterior of Willow Creek was on the brink of unraveling, setting the stage for a series of events that would challenge the very foundations of faith, trust, and justice. In the heart of this seemingly idyllic town, the seeds of conflict were quietly taking root, driven by the complex interplay of personal desires and communal expectations. As the days grew shorter and the nights darker, the impending storm loomed, not just in the skies above Willow Creek, but within the hearts of its inhabitants, ready to unleash chaos upon the sanctity of St. Andrew's Church. Father Michael O'Connor felt the weight of his responsibilities more keenly than ever as the autumn leaves began to fall in Willow Creek. Under the guise of providing spiritual support, he found himself spending increasing amounts of time with Sam Reynolds. Their initial meetings were innocuous discussions about faith, coping with personal struggles, and the challenges of maintaining hope in difficult times. However, as weeks turned into months, the nature of their interactions subtly shifted. Late evenings spent in quiet corners of the church library turned into shared confidences and lingering glances that spoke volumes, unspoken. Sam's laughter, once a rare and cherished sound in Michael's otherwise solemn life, became a comforting melody he found himself craving. Their closeness deepened during one particularly harsh winter, when Sam confided in Michael about the strain her recent divorce had placed on her. "I feel like I'm drowning," she admitted one night, her voice barely above a whisper as they sat together in the dimly lit church office. Michael reached out, his hand hesitating before gently resting on hers. "You're not alone, Sam. We all have our..." The contact sparked a forbidden connection neither of them could fully comprehend or resist. As they navigated the thin line between professional guidance and personal affection, the tension between duty and desire became palpable, creating an undercurrent of unease that neither dared to acknowledge openly. Despite the growing bond, both Michael and Sam were plagued by intense feelings of guilt and anxiety. Michael, a man of unwavering faith, struggled to reconcile his role as a spiritual leader with the burgeoning emotions he harbored for Sam. Nights were spent in restless contemplation, his prayers turning inward as he questioned his own morality and the consequences of his actions. Sam, on the other hand, felt trapped between her responsibilities as a single mother and her undeniable attraction to Michael. The clandestine nature of their relationship weighed heavily on her, amplifying her sense of isolation and desperation. This isn't right, she often thought, torn between the solace Michael provided and the life she was meant to lead. Meanwhile, the ripple effects of their secret began to stir within the tightly knit community of Willow Creek. Pastor John, a trusted colleague and local Kene, changes in the priest. Michael's once steady voice now carried a hint of strain, and his once unwavering gaze seemed clouded with turmoil. "Is everything all right, Michael?" Pastor John inquired one Sunday morning after the service, concern etched across his face. Michael offered a reassuring smile, but the cracks in his facade were beginning to show, leaving Pastor John uneasy and increasingly suspicious of the hidden tensions brewing beneath the surface. In the heart of this seemingly idyllic town, the seeds of conflict were quietly taking root, driven by the complex interplay of personal desires and communal expectations. As the days grew shorter and the nights darker, the impending storm loomed not just in the skies above Willow Creek, but within the hearts of its inhabitants, ready to unleash chaos upon the sanctity of St. Andrew's Church. Father Michael O'Connor felt the weight of his responsibilities more keenly than ever as the autumn leaves began to fall in Willow Creek. Under the guise of providing spiritual support, he found himself spending increasing amounts of time with Sam Reynolds. Their initial meetings were innocuous discussions about faith, coping with personal struggles, and the challenges of maintaining hope in difficult times. However, as weeks turned into months, the nature of their interactions subtly shifted. Late evenings spent in quiet corners of the church library turned into shared confidences and lingering glances that spoke volumes, unspoken. Sam's laughter, once a rare and cherished sound in Michael's otherwise solemn life, became a comforting melody he found himself craving. Their closeness deepened during one particularly harsh winter when Sam confided in Michael about the strain her recent divorce had placed on her. "I feel like I'm drowning," she admitted one night, her voice barely above a whisper as they sat together in the dimly lit church office. Michael reached out, his hand hesitating before gently resting on hers. "You're not alone, Sam. We all have our burdens to bear." The contact sparked a forbidden connection neither of them could fully comprehend or resist. As they navigated the thin line between professional guidance and personal affection, the tension between duty and desire became palpable, creating an undercurrent of unease that neither dared to acknowledge openly. Despite the growing bond, both Michael and Sam were plagued by intense feelings of guilt and anxiety. Michael, a man of unwavering faith, struggled to reconcile his role as a spiritual leader with the burgeoning emotions he harbored for Sam. Nights were spent in restless contemplation, his prayers turning inward as he questioned his own morality and the consequences of his actions. Sam, on the other hand, felt trapped between her responsibilities as a single mother and her undeniable attraction to Michael. The clandestine nature of their relationship weighed heavily on her, amplifying her sense of isolation and desperation. "This isn't right," she often thought, torn between the solace Michael provided and the life she was meant to lead. Meanwhile, the ripple effects of their secret began to stir within the tightly knit community of Willow Creek. Pastor John Matthews, a trusted colleague and longtime friend of Michael, started noticing subtle changes in the priest's demeanor. Michael's once steady voice now carried a hint of strain, and his once unwavering gaze seemed clouded with turmoil. "Is everything all right, Michael?" Pastor John inquired one Sunday morning after the service. Concern etched across his face. Michael offered a reassuring smile, but the cracks in his facade were beginning to show, leaving Pastor John uneasy and increasingly suspicious of the hidden tensions brewing beneath the surface. Laura Simmons, a dedicated member of the church with a keen eye for detail, began to observe the interactions between Michael and Sam with growing suspicion. Her intuition told her that something was amiss, but the sanctity of the church and her respect for Michael's position kept her from voicing her concerns outright. Late one afternoon, as she organized church records, she caught sight of Michael and Sam sharing a moment of laughter in a secluded hallway. The sight lingered in her mind, stirring doubts that she struggled to quell. Torn between her loyalty to the church and her duty to protect its integrity, Laura decided to keep her suspicions to herself, watching and waiting for concrete evidence before taking any action. Harper approached the scene methodically, her mind racing to piece together the fragments of what had transpired. The first task was to collect physical evidence. She donned a pair of gloves, carefully avoiding any contamination, and began photographing the scene from multiple angles. Fingerprints smeared across the crucifix and scattered around the altar were meticulously documented, each one a potential key to unraveling the mystery. Bloodstains stained the floor in a chaotic pattern, leading towards a broken window, a possible entry or exit point. Harper noted the wounds on Sam's body, their nature suggesting a violent and deliberate attack, and catalogued them for forensic analysis. Next, Harper turned her attention to interviewing witnesses. She started with Eleanor Thompson, the congregant who had discovered the body. Eleanor, visibly shaken, recounted her experience with trembling hands. "I came for the midnight prayer, something I've never done before," she stammered. "I heard a noise and rushed in, and there she was." Her voice trailed off, eyes darting nervously around the room as if fearing that the shadows might still conceal secrets. Harper then spoke with Pastor John Matthews, whose face bore the strain of the recent scandal. "I didn't know about their relationship," he insisted, his voice wavering between denial and desperation. "Michael was always dedicated to his duties. I can't believe something like this." His words were punctuated by a heavy sigh, revealing his inner turmoil and the burden of protecting his colleague. Laura Simmons, the one who had initially uncovered the affair, provided another piece of the puzzle. Harper could sense Laura's hesitation as she recounted her discovery. "I saw them together once, but I didn't think much of it," Laura admitted, her eyes downcast. "I never imagined it would lead to this." The reluctance in her voice hinted at deeper complexities, suggesting that Laura might hold more information than she was willing to disclose. As the interviews progressed, conflicting evidence began to surface, complicating the investigation. Some witnesses provided inconsistent timelines, while others seemed to withhold crucial details. Harper found herself navigating a maze of half-truths and evasions, each answer leading to more questions. The pressure intensified as whispers of betrayal and hidden motives swirled within the community, making it difficult to discern friend from foe. Amidst these obstacles, Harper delved into the analysis of documents related to Michael and Sam. She uncovered a series of emails and text messages that painted a picture of escalating tension and desperation. In one particularly revealing exchange, Sam wrote, "I can't keep doing this. It's tearing me apart," while Michael responded with, "We can't stop now. We owe each other." These communications highlighted the fragility of their relationship and hinted at motives driven by emotional turmoil rather than premeditated intent. forensic evidence played a pivotal role in advancing the investigation. DNA analysis confirmed that the blood traces belonged solely to Sam and Michael, solidifying Michael as the primary suspect. Fingerprint analysis on the crucifix and other objects found at the scene further implicated him, linking him directly to the act. However, Harper knew that physical evidence alone wouldn't secure a conviction without corroborating testimonies and a clear motive. Determined to uncover the truth, Harper revisited the church's security footage, discovering that the security cameras had been tampered with hours before the murder. This revelation pointed to someone with intimate knowledge of the church's layout and routines, raising the stakes of the investigation. Harper speculated that Michael, being a respected member of the community with unrestricted access, might have orchestrated the crime scene to mislead the investigation. Yet, doubts lingered. Could someone else have manipulated the evidence to frame him? As days turned into sleepless nights, Harper's persistence began to pay off. She uncovered a hidden cache of threatening messages that Sam had sent to Michael, pleading for an end to their affair. These messages revealed a desperate plea for freedom, suggesting that Sam had been contemplating leaving Michael long before her untimely death. Additionally, forensic experts discovered traces of a unique substance on Sam's clothing, linking her to a local substance abuse issue that had been previously unknown. The breakthrough came when Harper cross-referenced Michael's past interactions and discovered his involvement in a previous unresolved case involving a similar crime. This connection hinted at a pattern, suggesting that Michael might have been grappling with unresolved guilt and internal demons, pushing him towards destructive behavior. The detective's intuition was further validated by testimonies from former associates, who spoke of Michael's increasing instability and secretive behavior in the months leading up to the murder. In the quiet moments of reflection, Harper pieced together the narrative. A man torn between duty and desire, a woman desperate for release, and a community grappling with shattered trust. The layers of deceit and hidden pain culminated in a tragic confrontation that left Willow Creek forever changed. As the investigation drew to a close, Harper stood once more in the hollow silence of St. Andrew's Church, the echoes of the past reverberating through the sacred halls. A poignant reminder of the darkness that can lie beneath even the most revered facades. The courtroom was thick with anticipation as the trial of Father Michael O'Connor commenced, the grand hall of the Willow Creek Courthouse echoing with the murmurs of a divided community. Prosecutor Elena Martinez stood confidently at the podium, her gaze unwavering as she began to lay out the irrefutable evidence against the once revered priest. "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury," she began, her voice steady, "the physical evidence in this case speaks volumes. We have DNA analysis confirming Michael's blood on the crucifix used in the murder, fingerprints on the weapon that match his own, and multiple bloodstains linking him directly to the scene." Martinez paused, allowing the weight of her words to settle. She then presented the damning confession, meticulously documented by Detective Harper, where Michael admitted to the crime under the pressure of undeniable evidence. "Furthermore," she continued, "the motive is clear. The psychological strain and emotional turmoil from his illicit relationship with Sam Reynolds drove him to commit this heinous act." Her argument painted a picture of a man consumed by guilt and desperation, leading to a tragic culmination of his internal conflicts. Opposite her, defense attorney Robert Langley rose, exuding a calm yet resolute demeanor. "Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen," Langley began, addressing the jury with a measured tone. "While the prosecution has presented compelling evidence, it is crucial to consider Michael's psychological state at the time of the incident. He introduced expert testimony from a forensic psychologist, who explained that Michael was suffering from severe emotional instability, which impaired his judgment and control. This was not a premeditated act of malice, Langley argued, but rather the tragic result of a man grappling with profound mental distress. He further questioned the integrity of the physical evidence, suggesting that the scene had been tampered with to frame Michael. There are inconsistencies in the forensic reports and the testimonies provided, he asserted, pointing to potential flaws in the investigation that could have led to wrongful incrimination. As the courtroom drama unfolded, the atmosphere grew increasingly tense. The prosecutor and defense attorney engaged in a fierce debate, each presenting their case with fervor and precision. Martinez countered every point Langley raised, reinforcing the solidity of the physical evidence and the clear motive established by Michael's own confession. Langley, undeterred, pressed harder on the discrepancies and the possibility of alternative suspects, aiming to sow doubt in the jury's minds. Witnesses were called to the stand, their testimonies reflecting the deep emotional scars left by the scandal. Congregants expressed their shock and betrayal, while friends of Sam Reynolds spoke of her desperate attempts to end the affair and seek help, adding layers of complexity to the narrative. Throughout the proceedings, the community's divided emotions were palpable. Supporters of Michael struggled with their faith and the stark reality of his actions, while others felt a profound sense of loss and disillusionment with their spiritual leader. Family members of Sam Reynolds sat in stunned silence, their grief a stark contrast to the legal battle unfolding before them. Detective Harper, now a central figure in the trial, maintained her composure, her meticulous investigation scrutinized by both sides. The tension in the room was almost tangible, each revelation and rebuttal heightening the stakes and pushing the narrative toward its inevitable conclusion. As the trial progressed, the interplay of legal strategies, emotional testimonies, and forensic evidence created a gripping tableau of justice in action. The jury, tasked with unraveling the truth from the tangled web of personal betrayals and professional duties, faced the immense responsibility of rendering a verdict that would resonate through the lives of all involved. The courtroom, a microcosm of the broader community's turmoil, stood as the final battleground, where the fate of Father Michael O'Connor would be decided, embodying the clash between redemption and retribution in the heart of Willow Creek. As the gavel struck, silence enveloped the grand courtroom of Willow Creek, the weight of the verdict hanging heavily in the air. Father Michael O'Connor stood stoically as prosecutor Elena Martinez delivered the final blow, declaring him guilty of murder. The jury's decision was unanimous, a testament to the irrefutable physical evidence and Michael's own confession that had left no room for doubt. Martinez emphasized the meticulous DNA analysis, which had matched Michael's blood to the wounds inflicted on Sam Reynolds, and the fingerprints on the crucifix that had been the weapon of choice. The evidence speaks for itself, she concluded firmly, her voice resonating with authority and finality. The repercussions of the verdict rippled through the lives of those involved. Detective Jessica Harper, who had tirelessly pursued the truth, found herself emotionally drained and mentally scarred by the case's complexity and the personal connections that had intertwined her fate with the crime. The relentless pursuit of justice had taken its toll, leading her to make the difficult decision to retire early, seeking solace and healing away from the shadows of her past investigations. Pastor John Matthews, now the sole leader of St. Andrew's Church, memories of the case. The once vibrant sanctuary felt empty, its walls echoing with the sorrow and betrayal that had shattered the community's trust. Every prayer and sermon became a reminder of the fragility of faith and the devastating impact of hidden sins, leaving Pastor John to navigate the delicate task of rebuilding both his spirit and the churches standing within Willow Creek. Ethan Reynolds, Sam's young son, was placed under the care of his relatives, struggling to comprehend the loss of his mother and the scandal that had engulfed his family. The innocence of his childhood was abruptly stolen, leaving him to cope with profound grief and confusion. His days were now filled with therapy sessions and the cold comfort of a life forever altered by tragedy. The entire community of Willow Creek mourned the loss and betrayal that had torn through their close-knit society. St. Andrew's Church, once a beacon of hope and unity, was temporarily closed as the town grappled with its shattered trust in religious leadership. The streets buzzed with hushed conversations and lingering resentment, as residents struggled to reconcile their reverence for Father Michael with the reality of his actions. The collective sorrow and loss left an indelible mark on Willow Creek, a stark reminder of the devastating consequences that deceit and illicit relationships can wreak on both individuals and the fabric of a community.